Onstage, Johnston to Jim Tom. 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 Tom and Jim.
Tonight, we welcome Fall Children to the stage of the Phoenix Theater. Fall Children is a hardcore punk band from Ukiah that has played this stage a number of times and has a lot of momentum going into the summer of 2019. Tonight, we'll learn about who these people are, why they make this music, and later they'll play a collection of songs. Please welcome to the program, Fall Children.
Fall Children, welcome.
Hey.
Thank you so much for having us.
Usually, I'm not even going to go into that. They don't need to know. What did today look like for everybody?
Well, for me, I had my regular get up, go to work.
You plumbed.
I plumbed.
What did you do?
Well, it's my birthday today.
Fuck!
So,
Happy birthday!
Happy
Whoa!
birthday. Yeah.
Whoa!
So,
Yep.
I
Whoa.
literally couldn't think
19.
of spending any other way of having my birthday. I don't know. It's a.
It might
What
be
I'm-
the
what
best,
I'm saying
might be
is
the best
it's a good
birthday of
day.
your life.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
thus far anyway.
That's what I meant to say.
Wow, look at that. What a commemoration. We could sing, but that's not this group's vibe.
No.
This is a
Yeah.
punk band. Yeah,
We don't
It's not a
sing.
cutesy folk band. Okay, so we had plumbing. We had birthday. We had you don't have to, whatever you want to share.
Well, I mean, yeah, I just had kind of a frantic day.
Floated down the river.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a nice day, going on the river was cool. It was really hot.
Yeah.
But then, while we were just in the middle of the river, Sasha called me.
Yeah,
and,
What we keep alluding to here,
Yeah.
folks, is that this was scheduled for tonight. Some calendars weren't updated, and this almost didn't happen, and now we're here.
Yeah.
This is all building towards something bigger. Maybe. I don't know. We don't have an outline because of that. But Aiden, and finally your day, just a word. What did you do?
I just I got ready for a trip I'm going on tomorrow to Baltimore.
What time do you leave?
8:30 p.m.
So these were good days that we had.
Yes, very
These
good
were good days. Would you say that this is a group of anxious people?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You say no.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I
No, it's okay to be different. You don't feel that anxious, or you do?
I mean, definitely sometimes, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's like
Even being here, it's a little bit.
well, for this right now.
Yeah, I mean, just-
absolutely.
yeah, for
I mean,
sure.
this is a spooky thing.
Yeah.
It's getting recorded, and then it's going to be online forever.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fucking scary. Absolutely.
A lot of people get in trouble for that now, actually.
That's true. That's why I get a lot of emails the next day that say, please edit this out, edit this out, edit this out, edit this out. Please don't send me that. I guess my question is, it's like, yes, today was good, but maybe there were pockets of anxiety. Would we agree with that?
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was
not for you. You were on a river having the time of your life, but
I don't think I've driven from Chico to here this fast. It's usually a 3-hour drive.
oh, you live in Chico?
Yeah, I live in Chico.
Oh, that's hilarious.
I made it in about 2.5 hours off a 3-hour drive. I was really hauling.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So you had some anxiety,
Thank goodness.
and I guess like where the light prompt that starts this episode is like, do you ever dial into like what it is that makes you feel that way?
Me personally, if you guys don't mind me starting this off, I think that it has to do a lot with just literally the safety of walking around. I believe that, when you go to school, because of so many things that have happened lately and how much exposure we have to the press, there's the fear of getting shot. You know what I mean? Like after the Parkland shootings happened and that, a fire alarm was pulled so everyone went outside. The next day at my school, a fire alarm went off. Someone pulled it as a joke. You know what I mean? But a lot of us were very, very scared. And things like that in our lives that, you don't think about so much as a little kid when you're going about your day. So many instances like that happen every day where it's all like, this could go completely wrong. And I think that ultimately a lot of, at least personally, my anxiety comes from that.
Really? So yours is less of like less of an existential dread thing, and more of like you fear that sort of danger.
Well, existential dread is, that's something that I like to push to the side that creates more anxiety for me.
Yeah.
But no, when I immediately being anxious, it is kind of like walking around, looking at everything, and sometimes thinking, sometimes it's beautiful, sometimes everything is great, but there are a lot of moments that for me are influenced particularly, by the people around me, by the press, by where I live, that I will feel, just a little bit unsafe, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting because usually I always assume that it's just coming from inside people. Like when I walk around, I don't worry about my safety. Do you worry about your safety, Tom Gaffey?
No, I've already got 64 years through. It's all extra.
Well, the difference for you is that you would actually kind of like it.
Yeah,
You not that you want to die, but
fatalist necessarily.
exactly. But you're kind of like, yeah, you know,
I fully intend to
I've had a
come
good
back
life.
and skate.
Exactly.
So,
Well,
either way.
personally for me, I don't worry too much for my safety in an everyday sense like that. Passing as someone who's a straight white male, it's easy to kind of just like get in a comfort bubble in that sense. I think for me personally, a lot of day-to-day anxiety, you know, in addition to circumstance that everyone faces on a daily basis, comes from just like a very uncertain future, like where we are in the world right now. You know, there's a lot of questions about whether the way we're living as just a people is sustainable. And, you know, it's just hard to think about the small day-to-day things when there's this greater question in the back of your mind, like whether or not it's going to last, you know?
would you say that, like, because you're how old, Aiden?
20.
20. So I've known you for a while. I know you've had some ups and you've had some downs. Would you say that's like been consistently the case? Like these like big world issues have always caused you trouble? Like that they've influenced you in such a way where you're like, oh gosh, things are hopeless.
I would say when I was a little bit younger, I was a lot more focused, you know, inward.
Yeah.
But I think the last couple of years, there's just been a lot of things happening that are, you know, a lot of stuff is setting in kind of around the same time.
Yeah.
And just heavily.
And it makes it difficult, I think, to like plan for what your grown-up life's going to be.
Yeah. And, you know, there's other times in my life where, like, just on a personal level, I wonder, like, how sustainable my own life is, you know?
And if I may add to that, it also has felt like, you know, in more recent months, amongst quite a bit of people, that everything is like falling apart. There are so many things happening. I know so many people that are going through personal bullshit right now, like really hard. And that on top of everything that you were just talking about and that I was just talking about really does lead to kind of an overall anxiety. Just, you know.
Well, would you say that you have hope for the future, or would you say that you lack hope for the future?
I think for me personally, the last few months, in a way, have been pretty refreshing on that.
Yeah.
Just as far as my own personal life.
What do you think led to that change? Because that's a shift.
You know, having the right people to kind of be able to count on at one point or another, and just kind of experiencing a little bit more consistency in my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's very powerful, and we all probably know this, but if you don't, I'll say it out loud anyway. It's like if you surround yourself by a bunch of people who are, we use the word toxic, who are not positive, or who even participate in like behavior that is like not good or sustainable, well, chances are you're going to start to, you know, do that same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, my life is, you know, I feel like I just jumped up out of one and into another.
Well, honestly, because I feel like if we were having this interview a year or two ago, I feel like, number one, I feel like you wouldn't really have fully been here. And number two, I feel like, and I don't say that with any disrespect.
Yeah, of course.
And number two, I think that it would have been a much different circumstance. I don't think
would
that
have
you
been a very different interview.
Had as much hope.
Different band.
That too.
Well, you're kind of newish in this band.
Yeah,
right?
I've played 5 or 6 shows with them so far.
Yeah. You know, and we have our other friends here. We have anything you want to toss into the existential dread conversation?
Well, anxiety for me is definitely, like you were talking about, much more internal. I right now, like, you know, I feel like I want different things and stuff like that, and like I feel like I can do them all at once, but you know, I'm just trying to build myself on just a yeah. I don't know.
No, I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
There's a lot that you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're saying?
That is what I'm saying.
There's a lot that you want to do with this life, and maybe you want to do it all at once, and then maybe it just gets so overwhelming that maybe stuff doesn't get done, and then you start to feel like well, gosh, am I ever going to do all the things that I want to do? And then it becomes
Absolutely.
disheartening when
Mhm.
you're like, well, what have I accomplished? I'm of this, I'm of that,
Mhm.
I'm not good, everyone else is better. And then the negative cycle of thinking.
Yeah.
Would you say that I just read you okay there?
Oh, no, yeah, no, that was pretty spot on.
And also, like to add, I think, it's understandable to have some worries about making sure like you're building your life on the right foundation.
Yeah.
Knowing you're doing things at the right time or the right way.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
especially when you're pushed so much by society that you should be doing this, or you should be looking this way, or your life should be this way. You should have already done this thing. And then you get like a year or two past where people think you should have been. And then you start to think that you're not good.
Mm-hmm.
Except, John, you're 19. You're about to jump in a van.
That's true.
First off, you're 19 and you're a solid
guitar.
guitar player. You're about to jump in a van and go cross country with 4 friends and play music in all kinds of places you haven't been before.
But let's not change the tour to subject to tour.
I'm not
though.
changing the subject to tour, but I'm saying, holy shit, that's a lot more than a lot of people got going right now. Don't push it. You're doing good. You're already ahead of the curve. All you guys are.
And that's an important. I mean, you make a very important point because, like,
Thank you, Tom.
I don't know. I don't know if you look at peers and you think like, why aren't I like them? Do you have that feeling? Or they've done so much more than I have at this point?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely do that.
I definitely
Quite a
am
bit.
personally.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you make a great point because the adventure that you get to take.
I tend to easily be inspired by other people, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I want to do this. Like, oh, like I want to be like that. And
I think the important thing is not losing that. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that like what the world tries to do to you is like wring that out of you. And then you become monosyllabic, maybe. You become one note. You're no longer like trying to achieve this high and going over here and doing this thing. You become monotone, like a lot of the world. And I think the anxiety is obviously awful to live with day to day, but I also think that it pushes you to do something like this project.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it's by no means like, oh, it's great that you have it. It's not. It's very difficult to live with. But I mean, there is something inside of you that's like pushing you to do a project like this. And, I think it's good that you're different. I don't think that's
on
a
our
bad
baser
thing.
levels. That's how man survived to get where we are at this point in man's history. We needed that anxiety to keep us afraid of the predators, to keep us worried about how to find food and all of that. So there is a natural inclination for us to feel an internal anxiety anyway. But you guys, man, I hope that and I don't think you're that anxious. That are anxiety ridden because you're about to go on an incredible adventure. I hope you guys get every minute of it. Suck that shit in because you're not going to be coming this way again. You'll be doing it again. But this is going to be, I think, your first cross-country trip.
But that's the problem with anxiety, though, is it could make that whole trip sort of be in the background of the like torment of your mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's gone through my mind thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm a very
absolutely.
worryful person.
Yeah, it's true.
In like a very basic safety sense.
Yeah.
Constantly.
You know what? And I've been watching you risk your life for the last, since you were 12, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Holy cow, 8 years
There's
I've
no
been
rhyme or
watching you
reason.
be afraid of hurting yourself and yet trying as much as you possibly can to do exactly that.
Yeah.
Wow.
At that point, it's probably more of a control thing.
Wow.
What a kid.
What do you mean by that?
In that sense, I'm to some degree in charge of whatever damage or whatever I'm doing to myself. Yet, in the back of my head, I have, I'm afraid to get in a car a lot of the time. I'm afraid to I don't know. I'm mostly afraid of just getting hit by cars, I think.
Are you afraid?
Things like that.
Are you afraid of injury? Are you afraid of death?
Death, probably.
Death is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like a weird back and forth.
Yeah. I don't know. One thing I struggle with is like the more comfortable you get as you get older, and like the more you set in the person you're going to be, you become. It's not that anxiety goes away, but you just. I see a lot of people as they get older, like they reach less for new experiences, and that's something that has always troubled me about domestication and growing old. And so, to Tom's point, I mean, that's why tour is such a cool thing, because you don't this is not the experience that most normal people get to do.
Very true.
So even if, your mind is a prison and you're feeling unwell a lot of the time, you do get a great adventure in front of you. And to his point, it's like you try to enjoy it.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't have any doubt that I'm going to have a hard time enjoying it, Like, that is, in the most literal sense, living the dream,
Yeah.
Is just getting to do that.
It's funny, though. I look back on, like, the adventures I've taken, and there have been some where I've been, like, really at ease. It felt good. And, like, you have a great time. And there's been other times where it's, like, the trip or the adventure or the thing is just totally in the background. And it's, like, my like, pounding chest and my, like, overactive mind just, like, that is what I've spent the week doing, as opposed to enjoying this great experience that I'm on.
You know what really helped us, me and John at least, we just went to Las Vegas a couple weekends ago for the punk rock bowling festival. And what really helped us like have a good time is we did mushrooms with each other.
Yeah.
And it was the first time we've ever done a psychedelic with each other.
I love that.
And
I love the handhold to the audio listener.
We did mushrooms with each other.
Yeah.
But we're not big on drugs personally. That's just never been like our thing.
Yeah.
So it definitely was a special thing. And I think that just kind of like breaking that boundary of something that you wouldn't normally do and kind of like, yeah, in a sense, definitely taking that edge off of the whole, because we're seeing like, Black Flag with Keith Morris, and Fear and all these like amazing bands. And then you're like actually you're just tripping and you're just enjoying everything that's going on around you. And you're like, oh my gosh.
So you got the yin and the yang here. You've got person who's never done mushrooms, and you've got man who perhaps maybe has before. We can't.
Probably once or twice.
I don't know.
I couldn't possibly remember.
Exactly. Jim and Tom, the show does not condone drug use of any kind. However, now that the advisory has been made, do you feel like that changed you fundamentally?
Yes, very much so. Right before we went on that trip, I just lost my job, lost my girlfriend, had to move back to Chico, just all of this stuff that, was kind of like coming down. A lot of people that I thought that were around me and were there for me weren't, and it really kind of did help me like weed out the people that were like we were just talking about earlier, those toxic people.
Yeah.
And I really, I've always, this is something, punk rock bowling is like, it's a really cool thing that people want to go to, and I never thought that we'd actually wind up like going to it, but there definitely still was anxiety going down there. Like, we were up for about 42 hours because the people that we were with decided to drive overnight, and we were in a really small car, didn't sleep or do anything.
Not at all.
And so getting there, and we wake up the next day and we're like, our heads are still kind of like they're running. We have so much on our mind, we have so much going on in our lives right now, and then doing mushrooms and just being in a fun environment just kind of taught me like you can still have fun throughout all of this stuff,
So that's the insight you gleaned.
That's not everything.
Okay. Because I'm not interested in like the trip. The tripping is like whatever. But it's the like
let me give it to you.
You remove from the trip and you're like, I never thought about it that way.
Well, okay. One big thing, I have been talking about the idea of fun, and like I do believe that is a core, something that I believe that I don't necessarily always have. I'm always someone that's very stressed out, worried about the next move, wants everything to go right, definitely a little bit of a control freak. Serious, that's why we were saying we kind of like, yeah. But like, so much of that always gets in the way, whether it be anything in my regular day life, getting up for work, going on tour, doing anything that I could possibly have so much fun doing. And I will just cut that out because there's a task at hand. There's something that I have to do.
Yeah, but you also feel like maybe if you allow yourself to have fun, maybe the thing won't get done.
Yeah.
Like for me anyway, it has always been like, well, somebody's got to like be the one pushing it forward.
Oh, totally.
It's like you can have fun looking back at it later on, which is not right. Like you can have both.
Yeah.
Balance is important. So this is something you've gleaned that you need to have more fun.
Oh, I definitely do. I've had a lot of great experiences. I would say that up to this point in my life, I'm very happy with, what I have accomplished, what I've done, where I've, lived, whatever it may be. I'm very happy with it. But, from this point moving forward, I can have a little more fun.
Yeah,
you know
have
what I
some
mean?
more fucking fun.
I really do need to.
This is your personal commentary on this man.
Yeah, definitely. Saja holds the majority of the responsibilities for this band in a lot of ways on his back, especially being the only one who has driven up until this point. That's like
This is a young band, everyone.
I feel for him so hard every show because usually it's somewhere pretty far away and he's the only one that can ever drive.
Yeah.
And I think, for one, that should be addressed.
Thank you.
What I'm saying is...
You guys haven't addressed that yet?
I mean... Well, Birthday Boy got his permit today.
Well,
Yeah.
Come on. How old are you, Birthday Boy?
19.
19, okay. Congratulations.
Anyways...
I didn't drive till I was 18 or 19, so,
Yeah, just have some more fun.
My God.
Thank you,
Do us all a
I
favor.
appreciate the support a lot.
You say do us all a favor because you feel like you've suffered at the hands
No,
of no,
I don't-
I get
of no
really
fun,
mean.
Sasha.
No, I get really mean. I'm gonna be honest.
How do you feel about? I'd love to talk about that because Tom and I have different anger styles.
Yes.
Tom and I have different anger styles. I'm like methodical anger style.
Yeah.
I'm, maybe you are too. Maybe you get alone and the machinations start and you start like thinking about things and you think too much and then you hold on to stuff a lot. Perhaps I don't know. I think that I do. Tom Gaffey does not. Tom Gaffey, he feels it, he shows it, and then it's done.
it's gone.
And it's an honorable way to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
No.
I've got a bad memory.
I would...
People will
Not
come
me.
and apologize to me. This little
I
girl
feel
came
bad.
in- I got apologized. This girl came and apologized to me for something she'd done in the theater a couple weeks ago. And
That happens
honest to
a lot,
God,
huh?
I couldn't remember. I don't even remember it happening.
Yeah.
I think blowing it out quickly, dude, it's gone. You
Yeah.
got a bad memory. It doesn't even.
I think it's two seperate issues, but yes, I agree.
I'd pick that kind of anger any day.
yeah. I don't think you can pick it though. I mean,
Yeah, no,
I think
you really
you can
can't.
train yourself how to respond to the feelings you have.
I mean, I would pick that response
Oh, okay.
to me personally.
Yeah.
I feel, I feel as though you're talking about that methodical anger.
Yeah.
I definitely grew into that more.
Yeah.
I definitely used to outburst more, when you were a kid.
Yeah, like a baby.
Yeah, no, around the time, middle school, I kind of got into that more, like, how can I, manipulate this situation? What can I do? But the only time where I will go out, and kind of let all that out is when I don't feel as though I can come up with a solution to something.
Yeah.
It will be totally methodical and like you'll think so hard. How can I do this? How can I get out of this? How can I, But once it gets to that overwhelming standpoint, I just can't think straight.
Well, to me, methodical doesn't mean that like you have like a well-reasoned response and that you're like good in how you process your
No,
anger.
no.
Oftentimes you're like shitty and passive aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel it.
But so I mean, do you find yourself, and this is now we're getting real.
Mhm.
Do you find yourself somebody who sometimes explodes and like yell or gets upset and like says things, perhaps to some friends who are in your band and others, and then like later you're like, gosh, I wish I hadn't been so mad there.
Maybe 2 minutes later,
Yeah.
I will think that. It's like any time that I do something like bad to someone, whether I have the intention of doing it or not, just like almost immediately afterwards, I'm like, wow, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
Like I cannot believe that I just did that, said that, what have you, you
Yeah.
know?
But where you guys actually, and I don't know if you realize it, but I've been watching you play for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And where you guys actualize a lot of your anger is right there on the stage.
Oh,
You
yeah.
guys are blowing out an incredible amount of energy, and it is a directed energy, and it does seem to be directed at something that is important to you guys. So there's a way of actually actualizing that and blowing that anger through.
Oh,
And
totally.
you do it well.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. I mean, you talk about your personal anger, and, you obviously just went through some things, and we got some new material out of it. There's that in a positive light.
Yeah, no, if I may, the first song that we played, Pure Thoughts, was definitely something that's, we haven't like released it yet. We probably won't for a while.
Let's
But-
go into Pure Thoughts.
Yo, no, that's literally, it's just the lyrics that I have there. It's not too long or anything, but it's just what I feel. It's
And what do you feel?
I hate everything.
Okay, a good start.
Yeah.
Thesis statement.
I hate everything that walks in front of me.
Okay,
The cynics got a hold of me.
okay,
I'm so clogged up, it's hard to shit.
I feel that.
Time to get rid of nicotine. Banging my head up against a wall. To feel again, I try. Everything that makes me hurt. I don't know the last time I cried.
When's the last time you cried?
Well, after that, it didn't take too long because my girlfriend broke up with me. So
Had it been a while prior to that, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was kind of one of those things where you don't know what to do. You know, you can't, you're really into that limbo of like, I don't feel what I want to feel, and I want to feel something that I really, don't feel. You're just kind of like, you're back and forth, and it just stays there sometimes really hard. And I know everyone has had something like that in their lives. And it just, it eats at you. And it just felt so good, though, to put that, on paper, to write it, and it came really fast. Yeah, I just like went somewhere, wrote it, came back to John. I'm like, hey, you got to listen to this. This is cool, Yeah. And those, like you were saying, the correct outlet for this kind of stuff, I feel instantly better anytime when we all come together and rehearse the song for the first time, like always that first time going through it. It's just like everything boils up and it's like, okay, we can work on it now. But now that emotion, like those feelings that I was thinking, they're not gone. They're just dealt with.
Well, Aiden, you mentioned control earlier. I feel like control is a big thing for you.
Oh gosh.
I feel like the clogged up emotions, the clogged up tear ducts, the clogged up like all the stuff that you're not really feeling everything because the feelings get in the way of getting stuff done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's 100% true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long ago did the breakup happen and all that?
It happened, the date specifically is May 6th.
Yeah.
What just happened is that we got back from a show in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And I won't go too into detail, obviously, out of this confidentiality.
Yeah,
I have total respect. Yeah. And I would never want to talk bad about this person that broke up,
I think they're great.
Yeah, no, they're amazing.
Wish that,
yeah,
things have gone differently.
Yeah, no.
But also, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
No, and so we just got back from a show. We had drinking like wine earlier, so when you're kind of in that midday hungover thing, and like it's already hard. It's 10 o'clock at night. I got work the next morning.
Yeah.
And got the news about that. Couldn't work through a conversation. Next day, woke up, had to quit my job because my boss made me pick between the band and work.
So, you're living through a defining moment right now then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I don't want to leave anger behind quite yet. What would you say makes you the angriest? Or like, not like specific thing, but just like when you think, because obviously, we're going to talk politics in a little bit. I'm sure that makes you angry.
No, but I got what you mean.
Yeah.
What makes me the angriest is for some reason I have a really, really bad habit of being like unpleased or thinking things are not tasteful, and that's what I was kind of talking about with that fun earlier. Sometimes I'll even get mad at myself because I'm thinking about that, but my anger I think really comes from like this wanting of something and never fully getting it.
This is some overlap with our man John here.
Oh, he's been my best friend for 10 years.
Yeah,
I love this motherfucker.
You said a version of that earlier, and then more overlap to what you were saying, Aiden, which is like, I'm sure this manifests itself in this band quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You have visions for a certain sound, a certain energy, a certain perfection when it doesn't happen, because this is a 4-person operation.
But is it ever going to happen?
Who can really say?
I really don't
it's
know.
Never gonna happen.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
We're not getting what we want. No, of course not. How many people do you know have exactly everything they want?
Yeah.
No one.
No, I think specific to the band, that's not a bad thing to never be satisfied.
Right.
Otherwise, why would we get better?
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, man. And it's the stuff you didn't know you wanted.
Exactly.
It comes to you that just blows you away. Holy shit, I had no idea about this.
Oh, yeah.
Wow, I want more of this now. Well, then you don't get any more.
pays
But
off.
you got what you got. Now move on to something new that you didn't know you wanted.
The voice of God.
Because they're going to keep coming.
I love Tom. Always
There's all
will
kinds
love
of cool
Tom.
stuff that you just kind of get flowing down to you.
Yeah.
Outside of the band, where does that sort of dissatisfaction manifest itself?
Hold on, just let me think for like 1 second.
The silence is good.
Cool.
The people are like, fuck, he's going to say something.
Oh, yeah.
Better be profound.
No,
No, I'm not
don't-
gonna.
hey.
No.
I'm not trying to make it profound at all.
No.
Taking care of myself, if I'm being completely honest. I've, always kind of had a struggle with that, whether it be eating, emotional, just all those basic things that you need to do to stay healthy. In this last year, after I graduated high school, I tried to make it on my own, moved back to my hometown, and I was just constantly sick. You know, I quit cigarettes. I was still sick. I would never want to talk to anyone. Just like all of this, just regular stuff everyone feels all the time. But I felt as though I was feeling, you know, it all at once. And I believe that in my life there has been a repetition of that, and I've never really done anything to fully deal with it. So I would say most of this anger comes from the unwillingness to take the time to take care of myself.
I feel you real hard in that area. I mean, for me personally, and this also contributes to a lot of my anger, is just, you know, throughout my life, I've been very consistently experiencing just usually minor, but just, if nothing else, obnoxious health issues. And I'm just always like in some level of discomfort. And I'm always having trouble taking care of myself because it feels pointless, you know, when you're like, I'm going to feel bad anyways. And it just
and then you like try and do one thing and you think you're like, oh, I'm good. And then you just don't do the next thing. Yeah. That happens all the time.
Well, that's a good minor example of a lot of the sort of stuff that we talk about just more broadly, which is, and I don't mean minor to downplay it because it's obviously very serious, but what I mean is it's like you were saying, it's like you with the band, it's like you try to do something, you try to further something in your life, and then like you hit a road bump, and then like this sense of hopelessness can come in, and then you almost want to like throw it all away, which of course, if you like step back, you're like, well, that's silly. It's like you get back and you keep going.
But in that moment.
and sometimes those moments last days and weeks.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And I think perhaps that is like one of the ways I see anxiety manifest itself in me and the people around me, is that sort of like thinking that just is not real. Yeah. Which is like, you know, it doesn't make sense to try to take care of myself because I'm going to feel bad anyway.
Yeah. And it's irrational, but we
all have it.
It's what you experience.
Exactly. Yeah. We all like, if you feel it, it feels very real. It's, you know, one of those like broken radar moments in our mind.
Yeah. One of many.
One of many. Yeah. Love does it.
Oh.
Yeah. Substance does it.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, with the music, you probably have a pretty good radar about like where you want to go and what you want to do. You know, I think you're probably all pretty aligned in like what the overall goal is here.
Yeah, joining this band for me personally, it was a very big step in the right direction. As far as life. You know, knowing what I want to do and what, you know, just the difference in playing the music that I'm really happy to be playing.
Well, I mean, I would not to say that I know what you're feeling, but I feel like the sense of purpose and the sense of like a shared sort of vision together feels pretty good to have.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's something I haven't experienced in a while, and it's cool, and it validates like a lot of the work that I have been putting in just in my personal life over the last however long, you know.
Yeah.
Is like what we were talking about, you know, toxic people throughout most of this. This is the first time that I've personally been in a band where it's all like, it's, you know, 3 homies that are down to do it. You know what I mean? That doesn't happen a lot I've been quite a few bands. We've had member changes, what have you. But this, like what we got, like kind of going right now, we are all very willing to work on, whether it be our instruments, ourselves, whatever. And that whole vibe just literally like, as soon as like this all came together, it changed my vibe. You know, I really do my best, you know, better myself, or, you know, for myself, of course, but also like for my 3 fucking homies right here, you know.
Do you feel like you have become less toxic over time?
Oh, yeah. I would say that I believe up until the point about, you know, 14, 15, I wouldn't want to meet that kid. You know, maybe not all the way up until there, but I'd say between like 9 and 15, there's parts of it I love. I love the memories, of course. But I don't think that necessarily I was in the right, you know, I wasn't in a good headspace. You know what I mean? I always felt that there was something really bad happening. But just kind of really throughout time, you know, when just life changes and everything, I just kind of grew out of that. And of course, there's parts of me that are still, you know, I would love to work on and love to not be there. But definitely, you know, right now, way less of a toxic person to be around than I was a minute ago.
What was the 9 to 15 something really bad happening feeling?
Okay. John was here for this one. I was bullied hella in school.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of comes with the long hair and having the name Sasha. You know what I mean? You know,
it's a good name.
Thank you. Well, you know, it starts out the whole. Thank you. It starts out the whole like girl. You know, you're a girl sausage, salsa, whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, like,
what was the most clever bullying?
Oh gosh, honestly, like
Sausage is pretty clever.
sausage. That one was pretty good. Because I don't know why I found this funny, but people, they had the Sasha touch. And I thought that was funny because, no one, if you have the Sasha touch, you have to run away, blah, blah, blah. And it's all like, then everyone would just fucking leave me alone.
I mean, that's cruel in a way, but also like, right on.
Well, what am I going to think?
That's preferable to, a less passive type of bullying.
Well, if you guys mind me taking this, John was actually here for this one. Definitely what kind of like started off, I was actually 9 years old too. What started off this downward spiral is like, I've been bullied. I know what that feels like. But when we went to Catholic school together, I straight up, by about 4 or 5 other kids in the class. Just got
What school did you go to?
St. Mary's Catholic School.
Yeah, in Santa Rosa?
No, this was in Ukiah.
Okay.
I just got fucking pushed into a urinal full of piss and just flushed on, and they just took my shoes and shit.
I bet it wasn't well hydrated either. Either. I bet it was yellow, and I bet you could smell it because children don't know about hydration.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
That's why
That's the grossest urine. Is the dehydrated urine.
Yeah, that's exactly what the grossest urine is. It's dehydrated urine.
I agree.
Yes. But, and just like all that shit, fucking, throwing my shoes, whatever. And that part, whatever, shit happens. Like, people go through that in their life. But what got me about all that is that the next day I was the one that got, suspended because I called someone an asshole. And so it just, kind of started this whole, like, thing in my mind. It's all like, I'm put in these situations, like, am I putting myself in there? But it's like valid and invalid at the same time.
I feel like that's a super common experience for people who get bullied, especially in elementary school, is the frustrating fact that you get punished for retaliating in any way. And a lot of times they can get off the hook more or less.
Totally. And it's really not, when it comes to that, it's not about turning the other cheek. You know what I mean? I mean, like, that's what the administration or staff or whatever would like love to see happen, and then just not talk about it, keep it under the radar, no parents need to know or whatever. But I also don't, I don't like turning the other cheek. I like standing up for myself.
Elementary school's kind of like, prison in a way. It's like you got to punch back.
Find the biggest 5-year-old and beat him up.
Exactly.
That's
I mean, if you're 5'2",
yeah.
I shouldn't do that.
Only if you're 5.
So anyway, this happened, and this like switched something in your head.
I will say switch something in my head because when I started, because there was a uniform at that school. So I started going to other schools and dressing how I wanted to. Purple pants. Like cut off tees, like whatever. Again, long hair. Sasha looked like a girl. Girl bullshit. Bullying. Like whatever, and so, but that definitely did kind of start off this, pretty much this collateral effect of everywhere I went, I wanted to push the bar and definitely provoke and announce my presence, but then feel like shit once I did that because everyone gave it right back to me. You know what I mean?
But so, okay, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to add, and like also, that experience kind of, it creates a lot of resentment towards just authority in general too.
Yeah.
Going through that.
Definitely.
I appreciate you sharing that because that is a defining Sasha moment.
Yes, it is. Yeah. I don't share that too often.
No, I mean, and how do you feel like you came out of that? I mean, I know that like you probably still haven't. I mean, well, we all carry stuff. I mean, I know Tom does too. We can talk about it in a minute. But like, there's stuff that you never fully get over, even if it feels dumb as you get older. But obviously, you say 15, you sort of became better.
Definitely, because more important things started happening in my life. Like obviously your childhood roots how your brain is probably gonna go, you know what I mean? But once time goes on, you start realizing things that you have to focus on, like big changes around you, just things that are happening in general. That kind of stuff. It's not like it gets pushed back or forgotten about, but you start to realize, like, I can't fixate on these things because I'm not going to change. If I stay in this one place, I'm just going to stay in that one place. You know what I mean?
What about other people at the table? The thing that makes you the angriest. I think this is interesting stuff. I mean, this is a hardcore punk band, folks. This is a hardcore punk band. So when you're just thrashing.
Well, also for me, I don't know if this would be the biggest thing, but one that came to mind since you brought it up is also not being listened to is it has kind of the same effect on me. It brings me back. That's also, it's a common thing that creates the feeling of hopelessness.
Feeling invalid really sucks.
Yeah, or just like, feeling invisible in one way or another, or just, or feeling ignored is equally or more frustrating.
And that's where control and power become interesting dynamics, because it really only matters if the person is someone you hold in high esteem, or
Yeah.
somebody who has some sort of control or power over you.
Mhm.
If it's somebody who you think is an asshole and you could just as soon never see again,
Yeah.
it's like, great. I'm glad that you're not interacting with me or whatever. But yeah, it's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
What about our two friends? Our two.
Well, touching on what Aiden said, I mean, like, especially like feeling invisible. I grew up in a family with like a lot of like, just I grew up with a lot of siblings.
How many?
6,
Wow.
other than me. And
Did you know that before now?
I knew you had a lot. I didn't know the exact number.
oh yeah, no,
It's ridiculous.
That is ridiculous.
yeah, no. So the house was
It's too many.
absolutely always crowded.
Small house.
And
Yeah, it's easy to
Yeah, no,
fly
but-
under the rug.
Are you the youngest?
no, I'm second to youngest.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, absolutely. Like, feeling invisible absolutely sucks.
Yeah. And what I think is interesting about it is, like, these are not things that go away, you know?
Yeah.
He's mid-60s, I'm mid-30s, you're late teens. But these are things that stick with you forever.
Yeah, but those are the things that drive you, though, that kind of move you forward in many ways. They can hold you back if you let the anger take over.
Yeah.
But if it's something you will not let happen again, and you know the reason why you won't, it will keep moving you forward, and you can work with it.
Well, and with you as the curator of the Phoenix, I mean, you having this role gives you a sense of autonomy in your personal life.
Kind of.
And you, as an anarchist, believe that, and sorry to people who listen to every episode, we've talked anarchy like fucking 10 times in the last 10
that's
episodes.
all right. We'll
but,
hit it.
Here we go again.
But you believe that no man should have any power over another man.
Yeah, correct.
And,
Or woman.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. No
No,
person
yeah.
should have any
Yeah.
power over another person.
Correct.
And so
agree.
that's why you're well suited for this job.
Kind of it works. And I try and remember when somebody needs to be listened to. One of the biggest lessons I ever had was one of my best friends who is no longer with us. When he was 10 years old, we were a movie theater in those days, and we had a bunch of video games. And this kid, Nate, was just all over me then. Can I get a quarter? I need a quarter for a video game. I need a quarter for a video game. And boom, I'm flashing him a quarter. I'm trying to walk, and he's at my heels. Finally, in the middle of that whole thing, I turned around and I said, Nate, I don't have time to hear you right now. I didn't say hear you, but I don't have time. That's what he thought I was saying. I don't have time for you right now. I'm kind of busy. Whoa, and as soon as the words came out of my mouth, I knew, boom, I had to stop. I grabbed him and I said, Nate, when you need me, and this is a kid, I'll tell every kid this, and I probably told you this, I hope, Aiden.
Yeah.
If you need me and I'm in my head and you need me out of my head, you can tell me, Tom, I need you right now. I need to speak to you now. And every kid has that option. And that I learned from not feeling good about not being heard when I was a little guy. So, yeah, it drove me in the way that I kind of react with everybody else. So,
You learn a lesson from
I learned that
a kind
lesson.
of
and
negative experience.
Yeah, and I was able to use it to, I hope, help.
Yeah,
Or at
I would
least do
say
my job better.
definitely.
You have nothing but a good reputation amongst literally everyone I know, so it definitely has helped.
This young man rolling on a river, just going with the flow, having a good time today. So maybe
Metaphorical.
no anger, maybe.
Well, I mean, I'm not really that much of an angry guy.
Yeah.
I think one thing, like going back to like middle school and stuff, that really pissed me off and still pisses me off is like when I tried really hard, like in 4th grade and stuff, and fourth grade up to 8th grade, I was trying to like get through school, but I feel like a lot of my teachers just, I don't know, they put me down sometimes, and it just kind of discouraged me from trying in school. Like I just, like, no matter how hard I tried to learn new things or like get past something, it was so frustrating every single time. I just got really annoyed and pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, when somebody's basically not supporting you, basically
totally.
making you feel like you weren't good at the thing you were trying to be good at.
It's an important time to,
Yeah.
feel like you're supported.
Well, I hope they burn in hell.
Yeah. Not all of them. I had some cool teachers.
Yeah,
but
just the
like-
bad ones. Just
but
bad ones. Yeah, no, good
Those
ones.
defining
Good ones go to
ones.
heaven.
Yeah.
Bad ones, see ya. So there is anger inside of you all that is not political. Good.
Mhm.
We've established that. It's not just a political episode.
No.
Yeah.
We love that
Yeah.
I'm sure.
because your music is very political.
Yeah.
Almost exclusively.
Almost, perhaps exclusively. The first song on this band's Bandcamp is called Shit Pheasants.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and I like it
Yeah.
because it's
Deep
like
cut.
it's like guitars, Sasha. It's like vocals, Sasha. It's like drums, Sasha. This was a Sasha Gulef joint. Did I say your last name? right?
Yeah.
Feeling good about that. What is a shit pheasant?
Okay, a shit pheasant is a line that I heard on Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah,
And
it's a type of bird, a pheasant, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The song, all of that earlier stuff was written on election day. That was just, I was very mad at everything. You know, the 2016 election, Trump became president. Those are my thoughts on it.
You were how old when that happened?
I was 16.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like my first like introduction to like, wow, politics actually really does matter. You know, for how many people want to talk about separating music from politics, that's fine. You can do that all you want. But to me, I believe it really does matter. So a shit pheasant just sounds like a dirty insult that no one would say to anyone because it's funny. But it's also, for some reason, that's how I feel. If that makes any sense, it's just like...
Go a little deeper.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to go a little
Well,
deeper?
no, because I don't.
That's how you feel about what?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
On stage with Jim and Aiden.
Yeah. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I feel about a majority of the faces of the people that have political authority right now. I have never looked at it as a Democrat-Republican thing. I believe that the parties themselves don't identify what the individual is doing. I have hate on both sides of it. I have love for political figures on both sides of it. But the recent outburst of political figures that have
Risen to the top?
have risen to the top, that have achieved power, that have gained something for their personal needs, it's a fucking shit pheasant. You know, like I have no other way to like say it. They just
There you
they
have it.
look disgusting to me.
Yeah.
You know,
And also, it's a funny insult.
it's a hilarious insult. Imagine calling someone a shit pheasant.
Sounds good.
I like the phrase. That's why I asked for it. All right, I'm a Patriot. It's the newest EP
Yes,
by this
it is.
band. Okay, so these are short songs. They're spurty songs.
Yes.
You're upset. You're upset.
Yes.
This is a political time that we live
Yeah.
in. We're not crazy about these political figures.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want to share with us about just the entirety of this album?
Well, I believe that patriotism is a very interesting thing to think about. A lot of people believe in patriotism being kind of, they'll mix it up. I don't want to say people believe it as nationalism, but I believe that people do mix it up in that sense. Everyone can have pride. You can be happy from where you come from. I personally really like living in America, and I would like to live here for a little while longer. And I believe I'm patriotic in the sense that I want what's best for the country. So I believe that I am a patriot. Now, my views on patriotism are not shared with what we just found out to be a majority of people in the country. And so when, we hear people talking about how important something as material as the American flag can mean to them, or something as, who's president, that is very important to a lot of people, and I still hold it close to me. But I'm not focusing on those material items or like what the figures themselves are. Obviously, if you listen to the EP, read the lyrics, I have a lot of distaste for those figures as we were talking earlier.
Track 1, Donald Trump is not my Führer.
Yes. Again, going with the nationalism, patriotism kind of like overlap, I believe that Trump is someone who has made a lot of he's resembled Hitler a lot in things that he has said, whether it be, you know, the classic Muslim ban, build a wall, his constant threats on Twitter for wars and nuclear chaos. It's overblown. Everyone looks at it as a joke, but it isn't too far off from what's happened from the past.
It parallels fascism in a lot of ways.
Oh, in a lot of ways, where I wouldn't say that we live
stripping humanity of certain groups of people, likening them to vermin,
human rights.
Yeah, it's nothing to joke about.
No, it isn't.
Very real.
It is very real, and I believe that having something that everyone does joke about, you know, someone who has been a celebrity, someone who has, you know, who's been very, very gross talking about, whether it be women, another race, whatever. Having that joke as a president, it desensitizes and normalizes all the things that we have fought so hard to get rid of. That's how I make the connection between Trump and Hitler.
And what I think is interesting about these two people, because I know Sasha and Aiden better than I know the other two, but I get the sense that you, Aiden, are less of a patriot than he is. I have a feeling your feelings about this country don't resemble Sasha's necessarily.
Well, I understand. You know, it is nice to live in America for some reasons. Like, yeah, that's just a fact. Like, there's things about here, and you know, we grew up here. I was more thinking just patriotism to me is imaginary. You know, it's like, you know, having pride in like the people in your community is one thing, but you know, when it's like based off of
proud to be an American.
Yeah, when it's based off of, you know, lines on a map that are otherwise just arbitrary, it's not a real thing. And like you're saying, like what people, you know, label as patriotism is more often than not nationalism, which is just, you know, toxic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What are the other 10%? That's track number 2. The other 10%.
The other 10% is it means a lot to me because I, you know, talk about religion a lot. Just in quite a few of my
Not in this
different
conversation, you haven't.
Well, I know.
Yeah.
Well, I've been waiting for
Not
this
yet.
one.
Here we go.
The other 10% is about, if I may.
Yeah.
Okay. The other 10% is about a conversation I remember having with John about a conversation he had with him and his mother. And it's when he first got a job. And the idea, I hope to not narrate, I just want to get the gist. Cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
Go for it.
Thanks.
You're good.
The conversation that he had with his mother was it was her encouraging him to give 10% of his income to the church. And to me, when I heard that, I was furious because this is my hardworking friend, you know, started working in a machine shop, you know, or Tractor Supply is actually where he started working. But, you know, once he got into the machine shop and was making real money, it's all like, that's a lot of money, you know, and you never did it.
Yeah. Well, no. Yeah.
But it's like, why would you give 10% of your...
It didn't make sense to me whatsoever.
Well,
so.
and also it becomes a moral dilemma when you're giving money to support a group or whatever you want to call it that, you know, has done morally questionable things. You know,
Totally.
it's
Absolutely.
like it's something you don't, or I don't want to speak for you, but safe to say something you don't support personally.
No,
and ethically.
I definitely agree with you 100%. Yeah, no,
That's kind of like, from my point of view, that's kind of like the kicker about it. Like, you know, you're giving away money, and you're giving your money to someone who, you know, you feel has done a disservice to humanity.
And that in gist is what, you know, the song is about. It's like, why would anyone give their money to exactly what he said? People that have constantly we're still finding out about, you know, corruptions in multiple different churches too.
They wanted you to give it to the Catholic Church?
Yeah, Catholic Church. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have enough money.
Yeah, right.
I think so. Yeah.
You would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you didn't do that.
No, I didn't. No.
Bravo.
And so you go out and you find your own community, and you find, you know,
Absolutely. Well,
you hopefully find what your parents are finding in that church in other ways.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
all the while keeping
Which
that
is-
10% of money.
Mhm. Which definitely, like, being in this band, like,
Makes a difference.
I'm really glad you kept that 10% for the van, John.
Finish your thought, though.
I've been in the band for about a year and a half, and at first it was just like, oh yeah, no, this is fun, and I saw Sasha take it so seriously, and I couldn't. It was strange to get behind that, and but really, now being so invested in this band, like, I realized that this band means like everything to me, and like what it means to me is that it's all about change. Whether it can be personal or political, but it's
joining this band was representative of change too.
Yeah,
for
and
you?
that's what I want to do. Like, that's all I want to do, is actually make a change, not only for myself, but for other people. And like, it's taken me a second to realize that, but just recently, I've really kind of just put two and two together, and like, that's who I want to be, and like that's what I want to do.
And this band is in some ways a vehicle for that.
Absolutely.
Kavanaugh's Koffin is track number 3.
This is the one I get the most heated about.
You get heated about it.
Oh yeah,
I would probably agree.
Yeah, so Brett Kavanaugh, hopefully we all know the story of Brett Kavanaugh and Dr. Ford. Dr. Ford claimed that Brett Kavanaugh raped her. Brett Kavanaugh attempted to rape her, yes. Brett Kavanaugh denied the claims and then became a Supreme Court Justice of the United States. That is a very, very high ruling. It all happened very fast. There was a lot of support, particularly from the Republican Party, particularly in that Republican Party from the Trump administration. There was so much support, and it all happened so fast. And before the time anyone got the chance to like really figure out what just happened, it was like, oh, now he's one of the overseers. Like that. He's on the Supreme Court. And just
he has a big fucking say.
A real big one.
Yeah, like, you're talking about a very questionable character in a really high position of power, and it's like, these are people you expect to be held to a higher standard to some degree. And like, as someone who's like, sexual violence is like a personal thing to me, and like, knowing that someone like that has a position of power it's just like, it's a scary thing, and it's a sad thing just to know,
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of dark periods in the last few years in this country, but I feel like the election week and this week we're talking about right now were the two where you just like really felt it in the air. I mean, there's been a lot of bad news days, but this week in particular, like, everyone had the television on, everybody was watching the hearings, and it just was just like such a...
Yeah, it's just one thing that means so many different things, like, it really... for me, it made me question, like, I don't know, just like the safety of any given person. And it's like, I don't know, I think it's kind of really disrespectful that someone, who's had those allegations is like, they have a say in what any citizen can do, and they get to say what goes.
Well, the difference-making vote on a lot of issues now for the next 30 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a scary feeling.
It's been a clarifying few years. I mean, if that's one thing you can say about these Trump years, is that you mentioned earlier, just a few minutes ago, about how you would expect that a person in a position of power would have more, you didn't use the word decency, but you said something like that. And it's like, the more and more you see stuff like this, you think like, wait, why do I think that?
Yeah, now we know where we stand.
Exactly. And I think there's something to be said for an awakening inside people. Mm-hmm. So it becomes difficult to have hope sometimes when given everything we've talked about the last 2 years.
Yes.
And then that can make it difficult to get stuff done and to feel good about, the day-to-day life. But, here we are. It's 2019. what do you want to see in the next like 5 to 10 for yourselves?
You want to start off?
And and I'm not talking like career, and I'm not talking about any of the bullshit that like you have to answer to at like family fucking holiday dinners. Yeah. I just mean like broadly. We've talked about like a lot of like heady philosophical sort of changes you've made and things you've thought about. It doesn't even have to be something substantive like that, you know, you're doing in action. It can just be like a way of looking at the world in a different way. But anything you have to share on that, I think would be great.
No, take it away.
Okay. I hope I can push all my bullshit aside and actually work with it. You know, like not just like act like it's not there or not say that I've worked through it or work with it. No, like I hope in 5 to 10 years I got some shit figured out. Obviously, you know, my where I just want to be in general is like I love playing music. I don't care almost what kind it is. I always love being on the road. That's my thing. But I think also, like, you know, I was talking about my fun earlier. If I get my bullshit, not just throw it to the side, but fucking work with it and just go right through it and actually cut it out and like figure out who the fuck I want to be, who I am, that'd be a great accomplishment within the next 5 to 10 years for me personally. That's where I would like to see myself.
And you have some hope you can do that.
Oh yeah, no, I won't let down hope for that. I see so many people do that all the time, and it's all like, nah, I'm gonna have a great fucking life. I'm here, you know.
Good. I mean, if you believe that, I think you can make it so.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah! Thanks for the support.
Aiden, do you have anything to add on this?
I mean, personally, the next 5 to 10 years, like, I really just want to, I don't know, I feel like what's in front of me right now is to recover from whatever has happened, you know? I just want to feel like I went and came back, you know? I want to, like, you know, feel a sense of fulfillment and be happy with my station in life. And, you know, also I want to be playing music and going on the road, you know, as far as physical things go, you know.
So doing what you have already started doing, essentially.
Yeah.
Because it seems like you're on that path.
Yeah.
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 I mean, we don't know each other that well, but from afar, I mean, it seems to me like things have gotten markedly better in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel good to see that.
Yeah. I think I'm heading into a good chapter.
Yeah. Cool.
Making the right moves.
Look, I know that I don't know you guys quite as well, but we are wrapping up the episode. So anything you want to share with us, you know?
I definitely want to be playing music, absolutely, for the rest of my life. But definitely my goals for the next 5 to 10 years is to really kind of break out of my shell and instead of being so self-conscious of myself, to be aware of political things and aware of like other people, and not so not just so focusing on myself so much, instead of just like actually being there for other people, and you know.
Yeah. Would you say you're an introvert?
Yeah, I would say I am an introvert.
So you'd like to have a little bit less of that, maybe become a little more extroverted.
Yes,
possibly.
absolutely.
Well, I'm with you. This man right here will help you do that. He can pour a little bit of his extroversion.
I think I overflowed.
Yeah, I think it spills on everybody around you.
Yeah.
It's good, though. We can all use a little bit of that. Not me. I'm overflowing, too. I've got too much to do.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Here we go.
No, I mean, I feel what John's saying, and I also really, because music is my main goal for sure.
Yeah.
It has been for a long time, and I feel like especially this tour is going in the right direction. You know, for me.
Do you need some glue?
But
lips to mic is what he was referencing.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to the next 5 or whatever years, just in like what I'll be doing and where I'll be going with my music, and just in
That's what
general.
gives you hope.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, this is the vehicle for it,
definitely.
So this band's going on a tour.
Yeah.
You're touring for most of the summer.
Yes, we are. We are going on tour from June 27th to August 10th around the country, and then have a series of weekends and other week and a half tours up until October.
Fall Children. I
We're-
wasn't lying earlier when I said this band has momentum. It definitely has momentum.
Yeah, and we're starting off the first 2 shows with the band State Faults,
Yeah.
which I'm very
Cool.
excited about
Yeah.
personally.
Previous
Friends
guests on
of
the
ours,
program.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Well,
Those are going to be fun
And they,
shows.
you know what? They also can help you out on the road a little bit. They have some experience there.
Far
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
true. And if you want to see like what similarly minded musical people are feeling at age 27 to 30,
Yeah.
just go listen to their episode from March. You
Yeah.
can see
kidding.
all of the things you have to look forward to.
Yeah.
Can't
Tom Gaffey, we are listening to you. We always listen to you. We
yeah.
love you. Do you have closing thoughts for us
Yeah,
tonight?
this is more housekeeping and business that needs to be attended to here. So at this table is Aiden Morgan.
Howdy.
Back in like '89 probably. Some show got over one night, and I'm out cleaning the streets because I'm afraid my dad's going to call and complain the next day. And this guy pulls his blue Toyota pickup truck into the parking garage and puts his tailgate down, pulls out his guitar, and plays some of the most incredibly beautiful Hawaiian-style music that I'd ever heard. And it was a beautiful night, and things get very still late at night in this town. And this guy's voice and this guy's guitar work was just the perfect chamber for him to be playing it in was the parking garage down the street. That was Aiden's grandfather.
No shit.
No shit. And shortly after that, one of Petaluma's finest guitar players ever to come through this town, Aiden's father, started playing rock and roll on this stage. So Aiden is the third generation of his family that have been playing on Keller Street. This is a big thing to me. Family and legacy has always been something that is important to me. And truthfully, that's one of the things that I did get from my father. He always taught me the importance of family, and he taught me the importance of legacy, because from legacy is partly is who we come from. And Aiden comes from a family that's been playing music on this street since '89 at least.
Mm-hmm.
And he was here to do it again tonight, and so it's always a huge thing. You guys have legacy because Fall Children has been playing on this stage for a year and a half or longer.
Yeah, it is about 2 years or so.
Yeah, about 2 years, and these are the things that make me want to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm hoping you guys keep coming back, and who knows, maybe if I'm around another 10, 15, 20 years,
I
I'll
don't
be
think we
watching
can
your
get rid
kids
of you
playing here.
anyway.
Well, the thing is, maybe I'll see other members of your families play here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And John, with you, I hate to put you back in your spot, but what the best work you do is the expression, sometimes the best words are no words at all. There was a movie called Being There with Peter Sellers, and he was Chance the Gardener. And people, for some reason, felt that he was a prophet, felt that he had something very important to say. Actually, he was talking about gardening. But people would come to him with these deep questions and looking for this great advice, and he would talk about gardening. And from just that, they would talk their way through their problems. They would make the changes they need to make. And this is how you're going to serve people. You've got those eyes. You've got that quiet wisdom about you. Don't give that up. You're going to be making changes in people's lives. You just... that's what you want to do, and there's something about you that I think you're going to do that anyway. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
keep
you
doing
for
it.
that. This is some
You
solid
guys
advice.
just keep playing music. You're already in there. You already know how to
Oh,
float
yeah.
down the river. Kidding.
Doing my best.
The flow, man. So when you're kayaking, because I hung out with a lot of kayakers, and I kayaked a little bit on the Trinity River and the American River, and the most perfect trip down the river is with the fewest strokes. You get into the flow of the river and you just let that river take you, and you will find your most perfect avenue by taking as few strokes as you possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
You came today floating on the river, and that's probably where you're going to be going for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I hope so.
Few gentle, easy strokes, and you're there. Sasha, you are going to kick and scream your way through this whole thing. But that's where you're going to find the answers. That's how I've been doing it forever.
Oh, yeah, no.
So, yeah, keep kicking and screaming.
I will.
Holy cow. What a crew you guys are. I wish I was 19 and I wish I was going on my first tour across country. The only thing I'll say is when you get down into the South, be careful who you call Trump an asshole to.
Oh yeah, we're playing
Listen
some.
to our it was Resilience. Listen to the interview we had with the band Resilience.
Oh, yeah.
Because they go out to do battle. But you guys aren't quite there yet, I hope. So give that episode a listen.
Yeah, I'm a little familiar with them.
Yeah. Oh, what a band. Did they have a Ukiah guy in there for that matter? Maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't either. Yeah.
They kind of seem a little Ukiah.
Yeah, oh yeah, they definitely did.
And
Ukiah's got hella legacy on this stage. That was AFI and
I think Jim wants to
Loose
end this.
Chains.
No, I think no, that's great. You talk about
yeah.
legacy. You're making a great point, actually.
Yeah.
Which is legacy can be the family you come from,
Yeah.
but legacy can also be the community you're part of.
Yeah.
And this band is part of your guys' legacy.
Yeah.
Ukiah having a bunch of bands, you're part of that legacy now. And
Yeah.
what a cool thing that we got to document
Yeah.
that in so many different aspects of your life, your viewpoints, your music. It's been very cool sitting here and talking tonight.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
This episode will be released.
Awesome.
There was some discussion about whether or not we could do it without an outline. We did fine. Tom, what an outro. Thank you so much for that. Anyway, thanks for joining us tonight, everybody.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
us.
so much
Thank
for
you,
having
guys.
us.
It was a hot, confusing day in Petaluma, California.
Wasn't it?
You drove 2.5 hours to get
A
here,
little more. maybe.
and you all rearranged your day, and I'm really glad that you did. The energy and the conversation we had today was very fucking cool.
Yeah.
And happy birthday.
19. Hey.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Fall Children, thank you so much for joining us. This has
you.
been a fun conversation, great performance. And speaking of that, I've already seen it, but to the listener who hasn't, stick around because in just a moment, 4 songs by the band Fall Children
It's
is
a great
next.
set.
Thanks again, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.